Welcome back, Canonites. We're near the end of the month, so you all know what that means. This is Halo Escalation Issue 17, The Glass Horizon, Part 1. The issue starts in the year 2550 on a new colony world called Minab. A woman is casually washing the dishes when— oh dear God, what is that? Seriously, does that face not give you some bad vibes? Well, if so, or if not, get used to some pretty strange faces. Especially if you saw the comic preview. So anyway, Minab gets glassed, and we get a slightly new description of what happens when a planet is glassed. In short, orbital bombardment, heat waves that cook the survivors alive, dust and debris kicked up into the atmosphere, causing a winter to set in and create the aptly named Glasslands that glassed planets are known for. We then flash forward to 2556, two ODSTs who, fun fact, are wearing the Halo 2 anniversary version of the ODST BDU on board the UNSC Cascadia, overlooking the recently glassed world of Slayel. You heard me right. Recently glassed. It would seem that some fanatical Covenant are still glassing outer worlds as late as 2556, trying to keep the true Covenant dream alive. The ship's captain approaches, telling the ODSTs that the ship picked up a distress beacon. The ODSTs are quick to point out that it's been a month since the glassing and survivors are unlikely. This is where we meet Army Sergeant Holly Tanaka, a future Spartan 4 and main character of the story arc. Interestingly, she's wearing the same BDU we saw Army personnel wearing during the Battle of Reach. It would seem the Marines and Navy are the only group that got new equipment post-war, except these two ODSTs, probably due to bad attitudes. Seriously though, it could be that only Earth and perhaps some of the inner colonies have received the updated BDUs, though that would call into question how the captain has a post-war uniform. So Tanaka explains that, on her homeworld, she and others survived the glassing for 3 years, although what started out as 10 people was eventually down to 3 when they were rescued. The ODSTs try to tell Tanaka off, but thankfully the captain is a little more open to listening and allows Tanaka to tell her story. We jump back to 2551 on Minab, the post-glassing winter having set in, and the group of 10 survivors huddling up in an underground mining facility. Interestingly, it would seem that Minab is home to a Gouta-like creature. Inside the compound, a ruckus starts up between two groups of survivors. It seems one survivor has gone batshit insane and most of the group wants to kill the crazed man. However, a few are standing in the way of that plan. Tanaka and her father go to see what's up. Over the course of brief conversation, tensions continue to rise, but thankfully Mr. Tanaka is able to get everyone to calm the fuck down and agree to sleep on the issue. By the way, remember when I said to get used to those bad faces? So we flash forward to the night, Holly and her father talking about making a distress beacon, Mr. Tanaka pointing out the dangers of attracting the wrong type of attention. It would seem that, not unlike Draco 3, Minab is used as a hunting ground for Kig-Yar scavengers. The morning comes and Mr. Crazy has been set loose during the night, causing once again high tensions. Thankfully, as before, Mr. Tanaka is able to calm everyone down, saying he'll go look for the crazy guy. If he isn't found within the compound, the group is to consider the matter closed, seeing as the man would likely die if he's wandering the winter wonderland outside. Which of course he is, and it's not too long before he runs into a pair of Kig-Yar scavengers. Being cuckoo for Cocoa Puffs and most likely being promised his life, the man leads the scavengers back to the human compound. The survivors try to barricade the one entrance, but are unable to do so before an explosion blasts what little they had blocking it before out of the way. The Kig-Yar make their way in, and pausing a moment, it's actually pretty interesting to see Rutin and Ibieshan jackals side by side during the setting of the Human Covenant War. It would seem that the original Covenant did have some Ibieshan Kig-Yar in their service, though I'd imagine their numbers were pretty limited. So the Kig-Yar invade the compound, coming across Mr. Tanaka. Meanwhile, Holly has made her way up to higher ground where she's grabbed by two of the other survivors. These two men are said to be hardcore militia types, likely meaning insurrectionists, and were suspected of letting Mr. Crazy loose. Time will tell, but I have a pretty strong suspicion that these two and Holly are the three that get rescued eventually. I'm also really hoping that they don't turn out to be stereotypical bad guys, if you catch my meaning. We jump back to 2556, the captain of the Cascadia, convinced that it's worthwhile to investigate the distress beacon and ordering Tanaka to be part of the ground team. And that's Escalation 17. It's a pretty good issue that does a wonderful job of exploring the hardships survivors of a glassed world would have to go through, while also exploring the indifference some in the UNSC feel towards the outer colonies. It also does a great job at setting up the main character, giving her a solid backstory while keeping enough from the readers to make us want to get our hands on the next issue to find out what's going to happen. Writer Duffy Baudru did a great job with the two-parter Exposure, and it looks like we're in for another treat with Glass Horizon. Based on the cover for the next issue, I think Tanaka and the away team will be encountering some resistance, whether they find survivors or not. I also suspect that this mission will be the reason Tanaka is offered a chance to become a Spartan. Speaking of becoming a Spartan, does anyone else get the feeling that Tanaka might be one of the Spartans on Locke's team? It would seem to me to be the only reason to introduce her at this point. If she isn't, oh well, but if she is, bravo to 343 for giving at least one of the new Spartans some backstory. I say this under the assumption that the other two may be new characters. Precautionary, more than declaratory. Anyway, thanks for joining me once again for what turned out to be a rather short review. Hey, when it's good, there's no need to spend time complaining, right? For now, this has been Halo Canon, and I'll see you all later this week for some Canon fodder. Hey guys, thanks for watching my video. It means more than I can express in a few minutes of audio. If you did like it, please give it a thumbs up, subscribe, share it around on whatever social media you see fit, and all that jazz. Thank you so much. Your support is everything. I would not be where I am without you. Thanks.